I think we did a really good job on the second hymn this morning. and maybe we should sing more hymns and we would get better as time goes on, right? I'd like to, before we begin on the sermon today, I would like to acknowledge any veterans that may be here. Is there anyone that served as a veteran? Thank you, sir, and thank you, sir, for your service. You know, I think I better shorten this bio a little bit because every time I hear it, it makes me tired. You know, I've been a spiritualist for 40 years, and I wonder if we could start counting the other way and shorten things up a little bit. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the cornerstones of religion. We know spiritualism as the science, philosophy, and religion of continuous life. And the last few times that I've been here, I've spoken to you about the philosophical aspect of spiritualism. And today, I'd like to talk to you about the religious aspect of spiritualism. And if some of the religious aspects that we understand as commonplace in religion pertain to spiritualism. So first, let's identify what religion is. Well, according to Mr. Webster, and we know Mr. Webster, right? Religion is defined as a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe. One of the first cornerstones that I believe is indeed a cornerstone of religion is hope. Now, hope defined, and this is my own definition, is an idea or a thought concerning, a positive thought concerning a future occurrence. Based on that, I think that hope could be considered as part of our religion, not some pie-in-the-sky, idealistic outlook, but rather something more concrete than that, something that has some substance. A positive outlook towards a future occurrence or future occurrences. One of the things we understand in spiritualism is that thoughts are things, and they do go where they're said. So in that, hope fits in very nicely, doesn't it? Hope serves to raise our energy, raise our vibration, so that we're more receptive to the positive things that we can draw to us. So yes, indeed, hope does fit in with spiritualism, because we encourage positive thinking, don't we? Yeah. The next cornerstone of religion is faith. And faith can be a little bit tricky, right? Because some of us have some very stereotypical ideas about what faith is considered in some of the other religions. How many of us have come from other walks of life before we found spiritualism? Many of us. Many of us. And the factor that differentiates spiritualism from most all other religions that I'm familiar with and that I know about is that spiritualism is based in fact. So in some of the other religions, when certain questions are asked, and I'm sure most of us here, because we are now in a spiritualist church, have questioned some of those creeds that have been presented to us formally. And when we've asked, how do we know for sure that God exists? What were we told? You have to have faith. You have to have faith. I was one of those that said, well, I don't think I do. I really need to know. And spiritualism brought us to that knowing, didn't it? So how could faith possibly fit in the spiritualist understanding of religion? Well, I think faith is like hope on steroids. Faith takes hope and brings it to a more concentrated thought process. Hope is more, in my estimation, a more etheric outlook. I hope that things will get better. I hope that tomorrow will be wonderful. But faith, I think, is a little bit stronger. I have faith that things will get better. I have faith that tomorrow will be wonderful. How does faith fit in with spiritualism? Faith really is a stepping stone to the next cornerstone of religion, belief. So we've gone from hope to faith and now belief. Belief is a sense of, really a sense of knowing, a sense of feeling within that support, that guidance, that direction that we get from our higher power, if you will. In spiritualism, we call that infinite intelligence. We believe. Many of our declarations of principles start with, we believe. We believe. Hope, faith, belief. Those three things are flexible. They have to have some flexibility to them, because if past occurrences that we've experienced in our lives and know of this world are fluid energetically, and we know that they are, then we also have an understanding that hope, faith, and belief must also be fluid, and that we need to be flexible in our thinking with concern to that. One time, when you were years younger than we are today, at one time, we hoped one thing. Today, we hope another. Right? We hoped for one thing. I hoped that my little toy, that I would have my little toy forever, until I learned that that little toy was no longer important to me, and I no longer had to have that hope, to support having that little toy forever, right? I had faith and a belief that certain things in this universe were so. Until I learned that they weren't. At one time, we believed the earth was flat, didn't we? And we believed it collectively. Until we learned. Until we learned. So know that as a cornerstone of religion, and I've given you 3 so far, hope, faith, and belief. Those 3 cornerstones are fluid and flexible. The last cornerstone of religion that I believe is the pinnacle, the North Star, if you will, of our religious understanding is trust. Trust. That's a big one for us. A lot of times what happens is we get lulled into thinking that we're in control. And our trust shifts from our understanding that ultimately we're not really in control of all that happens out there and all that exists out there. Ultimately, the only thing that we can control is our reaction to all that happens out there. And we can lower our odds and enforce our odds against having bad things happen to us, what we classify as bad things. As an example, if you live in a very protected, nice neighborhood, you probably lower the chances of having any crime happen in that neighborhood. But do you alleviate it? No. Living in a nice neighborhood, doing those things that give us an edge to perhaps not be exposed to some of those things in life that we prefer not to be exposed to, and assisting us in being, having an opportunity to be with those things that we choose for ourselves. We can support that by positioning ourselves in the right places and in the right states of being, mentally, physically, spiritually. We can help those things along because we have choice and free will, but we can't alleviate it altogether. So what happens, in short, when bad things happen to good people? And you say, I did everything I knew to do. I positioned myself right. I made sure that I was thinking properly along these lines. I did everything that I know how to do, and it still backfired on me. We don't have all the answers. I wish I did. We don't have all the answers why some things work out the way that they do, but, and there's a big but in here, what we can have is ultimate and undeniable trust that nothing in this universe, I don't care what it is, no matter how bad it appears, no matter what spin we choose as human beings to put on that circumstance, nothing in this universe is wasted. Nothing. So the one constant, the pinnacle of the cornerstones of religion is indeed trust. Because if you have nothing else, and some of you have been there, anybody hit a rock bottom? I have. And you didn't know what to do, right? You didn't know what to do. And so the only thing you had left was to stand there and say, I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I have nothing left. But I trust. I trust that you, God, infinite intelligence, can lead me out of this, because I can't do it. Some religions call that surrendering. When you surrender to the leadership, the direction that natural law and the energy of God provides. Trust. Trust is the pinnacle of the cornerstones of religion. So, do any of our Declaration of Principles support these cornerstones? The 8th principle, the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. That, I believe, supports trust. Hope, faith, belief. The 7th principle, that we make our own happiness or unhappiness. As we learn to align ourselves or not come into alignment, happiness or unhappiness, with God's natural laws. We're a work in progress. That's why we're here. We're in the body. Aristotle, if some of you might remember, the last time I was here, I spoke to you about Aristotle, and he believed that the ultimate purpose of us to be here is to be happy. And I'm not going to reiterate his reasoning behind it as the great philosopher that he was. But as I said earlier, nothing in this universe is wasted. There are things that happen that seem like they're the worst possible thing that could ever have happened to us. And then somewhere down the line, whether it be today, tomorrow, the next day, or longer, one day we're going to know. One day we're going to know the reason for it to happen. Some of us find out those things sooner rather than later. Some of us, as an example, who are single, wish that we were married. And some of us, and we think that would be the best thing that ever happened to us, right? And some of us that are married wish that we were single and think that that would be the best thing that ever happened to us. Right? Our perceptions, based upon our environmental experiences and what we have grown accustomed to in our social environment. If you were born in another country, if you were born in another place in this world, your outlook, your perceptions would be very different from what they are today. So we need to stay open, we need to stay flexible. We need to understand that our hope, our faith, and our belief are cornerstones that we can stand upon religiously and as a complement to our religious beliefs, the tenets of spiritualism. And within that, we know that the tenets of spiritualism teach flexibility and teach openness of thought. So collectively, we hold those things in one hand, but we don't hold on too tightly. Hold them with some flexibility. And ultimately stand on the pinnacle of the cornerstone of religion, which is trust in God and trust in spirit, regardless of what it looks like to you. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend.